Hey everyone, welcome to our sale. This is where we're doing the podcast, the Nevermind podcast. Welcome in. Mango Monkeys is in the chat room. I just saw that.
Yeah, I hate that guy. Mango Mongeese is a real piece of shit.
Yeah,
I didn't bring this up to where I really wanted it at.
you should
before.
really get that going. Today we're talking about death penalties.
There we go. That's much better. I don't want to lean forward like this much.
Yeah, you don't want your
This is
nose in there.
I do a little bit, but just not that much. Like,
Yeah.
I want a real.
So we had something happen, which
The
I
green
would-
screen's pretty real. See, Cal
Yeah.
did the same thing. The first time he turned it on, like, it's a little unsettling, isn't it? This is probably one of the best green screens the show's ever seen. It looks really realistic, unsettlingly so.
I think it helped that I nailed the screen to the wall instead of on the
it's
rigging.
super unsettling, and it makes me feel like I'm literally being carted away.
Yep, we're waiting on death row. Of course, I get top bunk.
You're the top.
Yeah,
you're a
I'm
lot
top.
bigger than me. So
It's steel, like bolted into the concrete wall.
no, I was saying that. I mean, if one of us is gonna get made into the bitch, I mean, I'm like 5'5".
Yeah.
I'm a little guy. I'm probably the
Bitches
bitch.
get the top bunk.
No, bitches get the bottom. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I was
okay.
agreeing with you. I'm
Okay.
saying probably.
I was a little confused.
No, the top bunk probably goes to you.
Yeah, it does.
Let us know on volume, guys. It
Yeah,
was a little weird last time.
Yeah. Or
some
echoey. Let us know.
There will be some echo until we kind of like polish up that probably.
Yeah.
When we talk at the same time. But last time people said I was too quiet. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This time.
Hopefully everything is good now. We got the new overlay. Figured this looks a little bit better than just boxes. Because we're in the same freaking room. We might as well just have one shot.
Yeah, I actually like the one shot as well, personally.
So today we're going to be talking about the death penalty, and the reason why we're doing that is because our very hometown we live in right now kind of made history during this last week, reinstating the
They
death
can hear the
penalty.
fan.
Oh, they can hear my fan? Is that better?
Is that better?
Is that better?
It could also be the rain, but I'm gonna guess not because it's pretty soft right now.
Yeah. Plus that's keeping it semi-cool in here.
Yeah. Is the static sound gone?
Yeah, tell us. It's no big deal. Cool.
Oh, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So
This camera angle
What-
shows
what-
too much
what-
of my fat stomach. We need a taller table. We need a table
you
that
just need like
I need a table
a
that
box of
comes
Kleenex.
to my chest.
We'll there you go.
Just put that in front.
Oh no!
What the fuck was that?
Your phone.
Oh, nobody. I don't give a shit about my phone.
Anyways, what day did that happen? I think it was like Tuesday morning.
Yeah. It was
Tuesday
just
morning.
Just this last week.
We had an inmate come from Tecumseh,
Yeah.
Nebraska, which was one of the prisons that had a riot. I think a couple
Tecumseh
years
has
ago.
a lot of riots. It's
Yeah,
our hardest prison.
I think it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But we had that guy come into town and we fucking killed him good. Apparently.
Yeah. So, what do you want to start with? What's the very first thing you want to talk about? I could reach.
You want to go off of how we both feel, or do you want to go ahead and talk about what the death penalty that happened here?
Personal view first. Do you want to talk facts first or opinions?
Let's
first?
talk facts first, because I
Facts
feel
first.
like we're gonna cloud everyone's like judgment if we go.
That's a good point. So, if we're going just off the facts, there's a couple of things that made this one unique. It was the first usage of fentanyl. In execution, which I'm actually surprised fentanyl didn't end up getting stayed. Like,
Yeah.
it's really common. I don't know how many of you guys follow death penalty cases, but they have to get drug companies tend to fight it because they don't want to be the death drug.
Right.
And fentanyl, I'm sure, being a really popular medical use drug for intense pain, I'm surprised that they didn't. You'd think they'd have the money to stop it. And I was surprised they didn't.
Right.
But maybe they've just accepted that their drug is so such a small market that it doesn't really affect them.
Yeah, they probably were just like, well, you know, let's see what happens.
Yeah. For those
Maybe
of you
it won't be the death drug.
For those of you that aren't familiar with fentanyl, it's similar to morphine, except for it is stronger, much stronger, 50 to 100 times stronger, if I remember right.
Sounds
I remember
right.
I read
to
a lot
me.
of research, and I'm trying to remember it like while I'm doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I believe it's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine.
I believe it. I believe that's right.
It's
100 times
used
more
in
than morphine.
really intense cases. I mean, you're whacked out on it. You know,
Yeah.
morphine you can hardly
It's
like,
basically
see straight
it's
on.
almost like a paralyzer.
Yeah, it's basically it's what they tend to use for legitimately dying patients. Like,
Right.
if you're in so much pain and you're just
Isn't it the
waiting
drug
to
that
die.
is it that drug or maybe it's a different one, but like some surgeons like to use before they do operations so
Yeah.
you won't jump around on the table.
Yeah, no, fentanyl is used for a couple of different things. It's used in operations because it's a completely it's almost impossible to feel pain on fentanyl unless it's a specific form of bone or nerve pain that it can't block.
Yeah. So, but not only was it just fentanyl, it was a whole cocktail
Yes, whole cocktail.
that's brand new to the lethal injection.
Except for the benzos. I think benzodiazepam has been
Yeah.
used in several.
Yeah.
But the fentanyl and well, even the potassium chloride. I think actually it was
Was the
there,
I thought the
there's
potassium
probably,
chloride was new.
no, they use that to stop the heart all the time. Maybe the benzos were new, but I think they use benzodiazepam, which is the same thing you take and make Solid Snake's hands stop shaking.
Yeah. Let me while we're talking about
Yeah,
it,
no,
I'll try
no,
to
feel free.
figure out what drugs exactly.
I'm echoing. Yeah, I thought that might be a thing. It's really hard to not echo because King Cord is so quiet. I mean, literally, I have to talk at like even this volume. I think is actually still picking up on his mic. It's super hard to tell, but I think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's really tricky. We're still kind of waiting for the mic to come from Musty. If
Yeah.
that ever
Well,
shows.
normally I would bring up the noise gate, but King Cord is so quiet.
Yeah,
Like
I talk really quiet.
when I'm talking right now at this volume, I'm hitting -40 on your noise gate. That's like what you talk at full volume into the mic.
Is that what I talk at full volume?
No, you're up at like negative.
Yeah, it looked like it was like -30 right there.
But
It's still like really quiet.
you can turn up your noise gate a little bit if you can turn your noise gate to,
You want me to turn my noise gate up just a bit?
well, as long as it doesn't cut you off. That's the only way to cut out the echo. Well, there's a couple ways to cut out the echo. That's the only quick way.
Okay, tell me what I'm doing here.
Wait, are you on mine or yours?
This one's mine.
This is yours?
Yeah, Mike Ox.
Really?
Yeah, this one's yours down here. You got the dual thing going down here.
No. I definitely think you're right. But what's that set to for its? Let me see the properties on that one real fast. Sorry guys, we're just doing a quick technical thing.
Quick technical thing. Properties.
Microphone, USB codec. All right, now let me see the filter again.
Okay.
The noise gate's not.
Is that our problem? Is
It's
it
not
wrong?
running.
It's not running.
It says it is, but it should be cutting off anything below -30, and I'm only at -40. And somebody said that I was echoing. That's really, really bizarre. It's welcome in, Musty. Sorry, we were having our noise gate's having problems. Well, someday we'll have Musty walk us through the full one.
Should we add another one?
I don't know why it's not. Am I echoing? I just don't get why it's the noise gate's not functioning on OBS right now. It's completely, your mic seems completely open. Yeah, go ahead and delete this noise gate and remake it. Just remember the stats: -32, -20.
All right, we can do that.
Yeah, just wipe this one. We're just gonna put in a new noise gate. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened with the mic. Because yeah, like, see, now we're heavily echoing because
now we're like super echoing.
What even?
Just a little.
Yeah, it's just
like that, right?
Yeah, that's fine. It's just weird because your mic shouldn't be picking me up at all currently, but it is still doing that.
Should we set it lower?
No,
or higher.
You shouldn't have to because
whichever way is the right way.
Our noise gate is set to -30, -25, and it's right now showing it's picking me up on King Cord's mic at -40. So I don't know why it's doing that. We'll deal with it another day.
Maybe this is.
No, you should be good.
Everything's turned up.
Turned up past where it normally would be though, or?
It's like maxed.
Yeah, but I mean, oh, actually, that did seem to fix something. Just a tiny bit, yeah. Well, maybe not fix everything, but you can't hear an echo right now, Musty. Maybe it's just a glitch on our end for OBS. For me, it shows that I'm coming through King Cord's mic constantly. So I don't know why it's showing that to us, but let's go ahead and call this good and get on with the show. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of technical difficulty there. Hopefully the volume's okay for everybody.
Musty says he can't hear the echo because he's wearing headphones.
Yeah. So if we're good, if Musty's not getting it,
everybody wear headphones. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, the drugs that we were gonna pull up here real quick.
Yeah. So the main three used. We're doing death penalty today.
It was fentanyl.
I did check the red box. Everything's good on my end. The thing that's behaving weirdly is the King Cord's mic. It's not. It's coming in when it shouldn't be coming in. I don't know why. The noise gate's like it should be.
Should I maybe come back a little bit more?
No. It's nothing you're doing. It's definitely. I think Musty's right. I think it's OBS or something because
it's probably OBS.
Yeah. See, like the way it cuts to zero sound, like when we stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
It should look like that even when I'm talking below the sign. It's just being
right.
bizarre, but it's okay.
So,
what happened is that we used a new cocktail of drugs in the death penalty here in Nebraska. It was our first execution in the since 70s?
No, I think our last one was 97.
97, yes.
The electric chair.
I mean, I was thinking 7, yeah. Electric chair, 97, you're right.
Yeah.
So, but still a good amount of time has passed. It's been over 2 decades
since
we've done it. 94. 97?
94, 97. It was in the 90s for sure, but it was electric chair.
Right, Musty. That's what I won't lie. Sometimes I like doing the podcast. I like being in the same room for podcasting for interaction, but I love being in separate rooms like Skype calling in because there's no sound issues whatsoever ever. That's a nice bonus.
That is the nice thing.
If I get too quiet, I can also bring myself up. That might cover up some of the echo if we end up getting it. So let me know, guys. But yeah, this was our first ever case of lethal injection, and beyond that, we used fentanyl, which we described to you guys momentarily ago, and is really similar to morphine but more powerful, and it's used in pain cases. So it's the first time they used that in a death penalty case, to the best of my knowledge when I was reading in on it, which made it controversial for that reason.
So here, I'll let you read because I'm not really good at pronouncing drug names. But
oh God, this
is the usual list since 2009.
Yep. So usually they use sodium thiopentanol. They use until pentobarbital. I'm gonna guess it's a barbiturate. Pentobarbital was introduced at the end of 2010. They use the oh, that's a tough one. Pancuronium is my guess. Pancuronium bromide, a paralytic agent, and potassium chloride to stop the heart. We did maintain potassium chloride. So what they changed,
which is the second drug. That's like the like last kind of like.
What we changed is instead of using the pancuronium bromide, the paralytic agent, we used
fentanyl,
and instead of using the pentobarbital, which is what we've been using for the pain, like the sort of knocking you out part, we went with benzodiazepam, which is a benzo. You know, most of you guys know what benzos are, I think. Things along the line of Xanax and stuff that just makes you mellow out.
So, okay, so this guy, his name is Casey Moore. He back in I believe it was the 80s, maybe it was the 90s.
Yeah, somewhere. It was a while back.
He robbed 2 taxi cabs and he killed the taxi drivers for the money. And that's what landed him on death penalty. He was transferred from Tecumseh to Lincoln here last Tuesday, which was what August?
Oh God, I don't know.
Well, today's the 19th. 12th. We're gonna go ahead and say 12th anyway. So August 12th, he was transferred here early in the morning. They shut down one of our busiest streets.
Musty said he got on. Was it the fentanyl? Did they put you on fentanyl or benzodiazepam? Because they're both good and they're both used in surgery.
And we killed him, and it was the first one since we're gonna say either 94 or 97.
Yeah.
And it was the first lethal injection here in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Ever.
Here's the thing, is this cocktail of drugs was being used by Nevada as their death penalty. But they didn't really know how exactly it affects the body and whether or not it was humane enough to continue using. So all eyes were on Nebraska when we did it here, so we can say, oh yeah, it's really humane. It's the best way to do it. And Well, we kind of fucked that up because
We did a little.
we did the first injection and things just weren't looking good. So we decided to go ahead and close off the curtains to the witnesses and the media for 14 minutes, and
you made a mistake at that
Right.
point. Like if you're in the middle of killing a person and you have to be like, 1 second, like
yeah,
the same way that we just did it for fixing our noise gate, then something has not gone
Right.
wrong with your execution, like gone right.
so
with your execution.
they were basically left to the imagination of what was going on, which to some extent was kind of right if they were thinking shit's fucking not going well.
Right.
And then
And that was only the first injection.
that was the first injection for
So-
14 minutes, and 6 of those minutes he was already dead. But then they like after he was dead, they're like, okay, here he is, he's dead, yay!
God. Okay, so they did. I guess I misunderstood when I read it. They actually gave the other injections behind the curtain.
Right, they did the
other-
first one,
The first one was in open view.
and then he started
they-
like almost sieging.
Right, I knew that they had trouble. So the guy had cough. He was coughing.
He was coughing,
and
he
really
was
uncontrollable.
spasming.
He was not. He was suffering. I think
Right.
is a fair thing to
Yeah,
say.
for sure.
And that really made them panic.
And they're like, hold on, dude, shut that fucking curtain. You don't want them to see that.
First 2 injections. With
First
curtains
2.
Open. So they gave him the benzos and they gave him the fentanyl.
Yeah.
Then he started coughing and suffering.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh God, just
Yeah.
close the curtains."
They closed the curtains,
they
and then
gave
they
him-
finished the rest.
They gave him the
And
heart-stopping agent.
what they said was the coughing, the spasming, then his skin was starting to turn red.
Yeah.
And then because his skin was turning red, it was because the red blood vessels were opening up, widening up to get more oxygen, but the
Right.
drugs were causing no oxygen to get to his blood.
Right.
And because of that, the blood inside the veins was still blue because oxygen wasn't introduced, which gave him a purple haze.
Yeah.
So his skin turned purple. And then after 6 minutes of him laying on the bed purple, they're like, okay, I'm pretty sure he's dead now. Let's open that curtain and do this last injection so we can make sure he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
With,
Like he was already dead because they had tortured him essentially.
Exactly. And yeah, we didn't even know it. We didn't even hear about this till like a day or two
Right.
after.
They didn't release it right away because I mean, who knows what they had to sign, but they had several journalists there to record.
Right.
Because they thought they were trying to do a big scene about it because they were trying to prove that this was the right way to execute people, that this was going to be the right proper like combination of drugs. So they
Right.
had a bunch of reporters there. They had everybody there lined up to basically vouch and say, yeah, it was totally good, totally humane. And I think
Yeah.
that's what caused the sort of panic.
But basically, what they said was, well, it killed him, so it worked.
yeah.
Which doesn't really answer our question about whether it's humane or not. It's just saying, oh, yeah, this killed him, so we can continue using it.
Right, right. And it, like, it doesn't seem like the best. 1024 diazepam was administered. 1030 fentanyl administered. That's why he turned purple. 1032 stop spasms. Oh, they actually added an extra drug in that wasn't like supposed to be
To stop
part
the
of the cocktail.
spasms, yeah. And then the potassium chloride, which is
Okay.
supposed to be the, like, make sure he's dead drug.
Yeah. Okay. This is a great example. Now that we have the times, thank you for that, Loreline. If it takes 23 minutes to kill me, that doesn't seem.
That's
humane.
way too long.
That's way too long.
I'll
to be
give you,
dying.
I'll generously give you 2 minutes to kill me.
I'm just gonna. This is gonna be a little off topic, not off topic, but if you
Yeah,
were gonna get
just a little side.
executed, what would be? How do you want? I think we might have talked about this.
We did
once.
talk about it. It was in one of our
Did
Q
we
and
both decide on
A's.
the same thing. What would you do?
No, I wanted firing squad.
I want firing squad.
Oh,
Thought we
you
had
did
the
want
same
squa-
one. It
Yeah.
just seems. First of all, we're both a little theatrical.
Yeah, we are.
So firing squad is a good theatric. There we go. B4 said it too. Child said it. There just seems like, and it just seems quick. Like you pop a cigarette in your mouth, they blindfold you,
Yeah.
and then a team of guys lines up. One of them gets a real bullet, and one of them shoots you in the heart. You bleed out from. I mean, as long as they're a good shot, which I hope the firing squad is full of good shots.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit hits your heart. It hits anywhere in the aorta. You're bled out in 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It might be a little.
I'll even take a
uncomfortable.
bullet to the head, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And you don't even need to give me some benzos. Just give me a nice, thick joint of marijuana. Just let me. All right, let's do this, bitches. Like, I'm ready to go. But yeah, like
Yeah.
for some reason, And hilariously, you know what really ended up getting rid of firing squads is that it was taking too much of a toll on the executioners, and
Yeah.
that's a weird like reason. Like I still feel like that seems like a pretty humane like death.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking about humane deaths, like there's some that I'm just like, how did anyone ever think that was humane? Such as the electric chair. Like who was ever like, let's run electricity through people, make them their eyes pop out, make them
Yeah.
catch a little fire and poop themselves, and that seems humane.
Yeah, the electric chair to me is just not humane at all. Musty says we had a doc in the UK about Arkansas killing a load of death row guys because of the meds were going off. They covered up so much shit it made me sick.
Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna like this is definitely gonna be some kind of cover up, or it's just gonna be kind of a misdirect.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
we're talking about our governor. I think he's our governor, Pete Ricketts.
Oh, fucking.
He's the bargain
podcast on Pete Ricketts.
He's
being
the
a
bargain
douchebag.
bin Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he, like really bargain bin, like the one you got to reach down real far,
Right.
into, like a Walmart.
He's
bin.
the dollar store Lex Luthor.
This guy. I don't know how many of you guys. That's probably a little specific for those of you not from here, but
Yeah.
our governor is a literal sociopath. Starting with the fact that our death penalty was reinstated with him using his own personal funds to funneling his own private money into our system, like our political system. And even though our what do we use? It's not like it's our representatives, but I don't know what it is on the local level. Our commission, I have to get their names, but
Yeah.
our local government said no more death penalty,
Mhm.
and that didn't sit well with Pete Ricketts. Sorry, my bad. And he decided that he was going to use his own money to get it on the ballot. He literally financed an entire campaign and got the death penalty on the ballot, even when our representatives tried to block it. And we did end up voting for it, so I mean, it is partly our fault, right? It did pass.
Did
a
we
vote.
vote for it?
I think it passed 52 to 48.
I'm disappointed in
vote.
you, Nebraska. You
Uh,
fuck state. No.
Oh, here we go. 15 minutes in the execution, director of correction spoke into his radio, and the curtains were closed. Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
That's a.
He basically what he did was he put his own money into it, but he wanted it to happen not because he thought this guy was a heinous criminal who did something really bad. He did it because he wanted to look good for the re-election coming
Yes.
up in November.
Yeah, he did.
And the thing, it's
And that's
kind of
not
a
even the conspiracy. Thing.
that's not
just,
even the conspiracy.
That's just the truth.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill this guy just to make it look good for his re-election.
Says the person who didn't vote, you got lit up.
Yeah, I don't vote because voting is ridiculous, and you never, the fucking electoral college.
Yes,
and
but voting in elections here is a little bit different because there's no electoral college within a state.
it's just kind of hard because
It's more
Nebraska's
easy
a
to
red
miss.
state. It's a Republican state,
Yeah.
and if it ain't making money and if it's not somehow morally correct, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
We got a lot of old people here.
Yeah, it's really common, Musty. A lot of Americans don't vote, and specifically local elections, they don't really for younger audiences. We don't tend to know like there's
Viva
been-
la resistance.
there's literally been times where I'm like, I need to go vote in the election. When is that? And they're like, oh, that was 3 weeks ago. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
oh.
Usually it's somebody saying, "Hey, you're gonna go vote," and I'm like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, if I remember to vote, I'm there. I always
like,
do vote.
I'm always like, "Fuck you." I'm not voting. It's fucking stupid as
I'd be
shit.
lying if I didn't say that.
You're all fucking
missed,
sheep.
like state midterms and stuff. Like, who knows when those are by date? I'd have to.
Yeah, but do you really think our votes count?
Within within the local state, they count for sure. But
I
I'm
don't
with you.
think I don't think they count.
the point, they definitely do count. But it's more like you're right that it's hard to overthrow red policy sometimes in a red state.
Well, I mean, not only that. I mean, I feel like that's true too. But I also think if somebody pays enough money, he's just gonna get.
Well, Pete Ricketts has proven that to some degree because he
Right.
bankrolled the death penalty when we've had it banned since the 90s.
Right.
So yeah, to some degree, money is a huge influencer, but I do think our votes count. It's harder to defend that nowadays with the like actual national elections, since we've now had 2 elections where the Electoral College went against the popular vote.
Yeah.
And now that we've had, when it happened once, I was like, what's the big deal? I really believed that. The first time when everyone was like when was it with Gore, or was it with was that the Bush v. Gore? I think it was.
Yeah.
When they lost the popular vote but won the Electoral College, I thought it was no big deal. Then when it happened again, like, fool me once, shame on you, sort of deal. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a problem until it happened again. And then now that the Republicans have come out on top twice, with the Electoral College backing them when they lost the popular vote, I think that now there has to be a change. For a long time, I really didn't believe there was much of a problem with the Electoral. But
yeah,
that's probably its own podcast.
The first time I ever heard about the electoral college, which was, and I think it was my civics class in high school.
Yeah,
I already then knew it was bullshit.
Yeah, well, it sounds like bullshit. Like, if you actually just think about it too long, or even just say it out loud,
yeah,
it's bullshit. Like, they're like, oh no, you get to go out and vote, and then someone looks at your votes and decides how they're gonna vote about it. And you're like, wait, what?
But then you find out they don't even do that.
No,
it's just whatever they want to vote.
They just do what they're supposed to. They vote with their party, and they vote with.
And if it sucks when your whole life, especially through your like school part of your life growing up, they always pump it into you. Your vote matters. Go out and vote today. Your vote will make a difference.
Yeah, Key and Peele have a skit about it.
Yeah,
that's funny. The Rock the Vote one. Yeah, our voting system is dumb, and it just doesn't make sense. It's a catch-22, right? Because we get frustrated. The young audience like us, we get frustrated that our votes don't matter, and then we don't go vote.
Right.
And then because we don't go vote because we're mad, they get more proof because all the old Republicans vote always.
Oh yeah.
So we get mad because our votes don't matter. We quit voting, and then they go out and be like, "What are you talking about? The stats line up." And we're like, "Well, yeah, because none of us are voting. It doesn't matter." So we're actually part of our own problem, like Musty is saying.
Yeah.
By not voting, the problem we run into is even if your vote doesn't matter, by voting, you're helping to prove it doesn't matter, and that's important. We do not have I can't remember the last progressive candidate we had. We get a mayor every once in a while. We have a Democrat vote that goes every time. They just always lose. They always lose to a 2-party system.
Moneybags Ricketts.
It's the same. Yeah, Pete Ricketts, our governor. He never loses. I don't know when the last time.
It's that goofy ass smile and that shiny balding head.
The mayor we've gotten 1 or 2 Democrats, but I don't think our governor's been non-Republican in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't even remember a governor besides Pete Ricketts. It feels like he's been there forever.
It does. It feels like he's been there since I was born.
But no,
it doesn't make sense.
We don't have really progressives. We have 2-party system. We get a Republican and a Democrat, and both of them don't really make the changes that they should. So
no, they do not benefit us at all. They're more worried about staying in office and lining their pockets.
I'm so sorry, but I normally I don't like to feed trolls, but a guy named Sperm Slurper telling you your man bun is gay might be the best thing that's ever happened to me. Oh my god, what just happened in my life? I'm literally crying. Sperm Slurper's a good name. Oh my god, I'm literally crying. Sperm Slurper is such a good name. Every time I say it out loud, it sounds funnier. Thank you for breaking up that.
Thanks for bringing some humor to this.
Thank you for bringing the humor to a not humorous subject. Oh my god. Oh shit!
Sperms.
I'm literally crying. That literally made me tear up. I can't even remember what we were talking about. That completely made me lose my train of thought.
So let's get back to the death penalty.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your now that we kind of covered some of the facts?
Yeah, make sure you follow so you can keep seeing my gay man pun and glorious beard.
What's your actual opinion on the death penalty?
So,
oh shit, yeah, Fortenberry. Fortenberry was a piece of shit though too.
Yeah, well, they were all pieces of shit.
Yeah, Fortenberry we had forever, and he was a terror. See, okay, that's a great example.
Yeah. She probably Googled that for us.
Jeff Fortenberry.
Yeah.
And he was just as big. Well, maybe not just as big a piece of shit as Pete Ricketts, but
he wasn't as evil.
He wasn't as evil, but we've always been a red state.
But yeah, he was always out to get money.
Yeah, even when we get a blue Democrat into office, we were still like, it's not like we suddenly were a cornucopia of rights and progressiveness. That never happened.
No.
But what's your overall, and everyone in chat, you too, what's your moral stance on death penalty?
Okay, so like
just in general stances.
When I was younger, I was completely for it.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because of my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got older, I kind of started seeing it's a little harsh. Where I'm at right now, it's not quite for, not quite against.
Yeah. You don't have a
problem. Where I'm tied up, where I'm hung up on is that it costs way too much money to kill somebody than it is just to keep them in prison.
Right, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Doesn't.
Like, on paper, it seems weird that it should cost, like, that feeding, clothing, and living space for a human being for like 60 years costs less than one set of drugs. Like,
and another thing that's confusing to me is that there's people who are on death row, like,
oh, Fortenberry was red,
who are like well, let's say like Casey, he killed 2 taxi drivers and he's on death row. But then there's like dudes who've done a lot worse who are just in prison, and some of them are on parole.
We'd be lying if we didn't say a good chunk of it's political. Always court cases, prison systems is very political here.
And it's like you got prisoners in there who like they kill one person, but then they're gonna get out later. But then you have somebody who killed 2 taxi drivers, and he's fucking in the ground now. So it's like, what the fuck?
No, and it was we got lucky because we knew this guy was guilty. My biggest problem with the death penalty is on last check, I think that they had exonerated it was 1 point something, close to 2%, right around 2% of inmates on death row got exonerated. And they think it's double that. They think it's closer to 4 or 5%, but let's just use what we know as a fact. We know for a fact that 2% of people on death row currently get exonerated at some point based on our current build. With that means in theory, if you were to commit a crime, or even not commit a crime, if you just get arrested or for any reason or put on trial, etc., even if you're innocent, that means that forget all that. If it's 2%, that means 1 in every 50 people we kill is an innocent person.
Yeah.
That is not an acceptable rate.
No.
Of being wrong.
Right.
That's not an acceptable rate of being wrong, putting people in prison. It is definitely not a good rate of success for murdering human beings. I wouldn't trust the guy. I mean, if somebody was like, hey man, can I borrow your car? And he's like, also, by the way, 1 in 50 cars I drive, I crash. I wouldn't let that guy drive my car. Let alone that is no rate. That is a terrible rate of anything.
I think I would be I would be so amused that he would say that to me.
Sperm Slurper.
Thanks for that follow, Sperm Slurper.
Sperm Slurper says, I feel like if you take someone's life, that yours should be taken, whether it is the death penalty or life in prison with no parole.
Right.
So do you not find it ironic that evangelical Christians are for the death penalty? That's something we joke about all the time, like in red states. The pro-lifers, the big joke being that our pro-lifers are pro-death.
Yeah.
People that are anti-abortion, which call themselves pro-lifers, all for human sanctity, all for human life, are the first people to be like, murder these motherfuckers. That's a hilarious thing. Well, it's not funny because it's, you know,
it's ironically funny.
Yeah, it's ironic and it's funny. Yeah, you're not allowed to suck out the 20 cells in a woman's uterus, but you can cock a gun and put it to somebody's head and blow their brains out.
Cal says,
oh yeah, go ahead.
Cal says, I'm just saying that guy's been in prison since '79. Why now? Why 30 years later he must be killed? Oh, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't really. To me,
the reason for that though is because we banned the death penalty.
We banned the death penalty, but mostly because Pete Ricketts brought it back so it can look good for the election. But I think we should go ahead and step into the little conspiracy that is behind
One second, I'm just gonna real quick answer Sperm Slurper.
Oh.
I'm pro-gun regulation. I'm not anti-gun inherently. I live in a red state. I have a lot of friends that hunt. I have a lot of friends that own guns that I've seen never hurt anybody. But I am pro-regulation. I think it's weird that we can do things like go to a gun show workarounds, like go to a gun show, buy an AR with no background check, no anything.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast on that if it's a topic we want to discuss.
I'm the same way. In fact, if you guys go check out King Cord 1's Instagram, cord.beasing, you'll see that I was at the shooting range earlier this week. So.
And that's totally fine. So a great example is like I could go buy a gun tomorrow, and I should not have a gun. I am not the most mentally stable person in the world.
I've actually personally have guns. I have a security shotgun, but I never touch it or use it.
Right. And so yeah, that's just kind of that's its own topic, but that's just in general, just pro-regulation, not inherently like anti-gun.
Yeah.
The same way that my party is. I am a liberal. I'm a progressive, or I like to think of myself as a liberal progressive, but I still think that I don't think you should just take away guns overall. I think there's a better way to do it.
Kai says, I don't think ARs and SMGs should just be bought outright. I think handguns are fine, but I don't think civilians should own ARs and SMGs.
Well, no SMGs are on the market. ARs are on the market only in single fire mode.
Yeah.
And they're working on banning the bump stocks. So that's all a bonus.
But if they ban the bump stocks, then they'll just be considered a pistol.
Right. And well, even if they
that's the problem with the SMGs too.
Rifles,
You can buy a gun that's similar to an SMG, it just won't have the bump stock, and they consider it as a pistol.
Right. As long as it doesn't have any form of full auto.
Right.
There's workaround. As long as it is a semi-auto gun, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It can look like you could get an MP5K, make it semi-auto, and it probably would pass the legality.
Probably. So, we were talking about. We're gonna go into the conspiracy of Pete Ricketts,
yes. So you read more about
our
that.
super villain in office.
You told me a little bit about it before the podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
But
so
why don't you rehash
I got the article here real quick. But basically, the general
there is
idea.
A conspiracy. You wouldn't think that there's conspiracies on the local Nebraska level. But even here,
there is a
in
conspiracy.
Nebraska, we have that.
And isn't it a bad time to be a conspiracy theorist? So the conspiracy is that Ricketts actually has, what do you call that?
What?
Other intentions? Like hidden intentions?
Ulterior motives.
Ulterior motives. Ricketts basically, he reinstated the death penalty to look good for the election.
Sorry,
what are you laughing at?
I was laughing at just like a sperm saying that if somebody runs you with a knife, what are you gonna do? And then Musty saying, "How often do you get run out with knives?" Just made me laugh. But yeah, people get their hands on guns anywhere. I'd be glad. We'd be glad to do a gun podcast.
Well, even another one of the arguments, just really quick, is that even if we were to take away guns, it's not gonna mean there's no guns out there for
Right.
anyone to get a hold of.
There's always a black market.
Right.
There's always
Right.
inherent ways to get it. I think what they're kind of saying is that how many of the school shootings and stuff would have happened if they had to go into the deep underground black market world to get them. Maybe they wouldn't have done all that work.
I would argue to say the same amount that happened when they were legally bought.
It could be. I don't have an answer for you. We don't know. I don't think probably the same amount. I know how humans work, and humans are lazy.
Yeah.
And if you could go down to the store and buy an AR, that's one thing. But if you have to get a back market dealer, it's just price. It's illegal.
I don't even think it's that hard these days. There's black web websites where you can literally order that shit.
That's true, but most people don't know how to use the dark web in general.
But I mean, like, all you have to do is freaking learn. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the same as going to buy a gun and learning how to use it.
It's true. It's true.
So, anyways, so back to the conspiracy. Basically Ricketts lined all this stuff to make it look good for the re-elections, but then we find out the conspiracy is that he's actually wanting to kill a different inmate,
Yeah.
Jose Sandoval, who is obviously Latino or Hispanic or whatever
yeah, I would think so.
the right.
I don't know all of this. Like,
basically, he's not white, and he, from what I gathered, is he robbed a couple banks back in the day,
yeah,
and it killed a lot of people, and he wants to get him because then I believe that Jose is illegally in the country.
Oh, he's an illegal immigrant.
I believe so. I'll pull up the article, but I believe he's a illegal immigrant in the country.
Wouldn't he be in federal prison for that?
I believe so. He's not here in Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
But he wants to get him here in Lincoln to kill him.
The banks, they're trying to extradite him here.
Right. So he wants to kill him because then that will look super good for the election because not only did he kill an illegal alien while we're trying to get all the illegal aliens out of our country, it looks good for the white supremacy angle because Pete Ricketts is a huge white supremacy supporter.
Of course.
And he also wanted to look good because he's kind of like a top criminal right now, which will look good for the election.
Re-election.
So, but the problem is when he came to, he's like, Jose, I'm here to kill you. Jose's like, nuh-uh, you can't kill me with that cocktail because you didn't test it and you don't know if it's humane.
Yeah.
So then Ricketts goes, gosh dang it, he's right. All right, give me the next best motherfucker, and don't tell him what we're doing. They probably told him what they're doing, but he didn't.
Well.
He's been in prison for 30 fucking years. He's like, I don't care. You're gonna kill me, sure.
Yeah. So there is a conspiracy going around that our governor essentially murdered a guy only for the sole purpose
to get to another
getting
guy.
his hands on another inmate he wanted to kill. I don't know if I really believe that, but I wouldn't put it past bargain store Lex Luthor.
Yeah, dollar store Lex Luthor.
I really wouldn't. You guys are trying to turn into a gun podcast. I see you over there. There with the gun podcast.
Yeah, guys, we're talking about death penalty. That's a whole nother podcast.
That is. Actually, I'm surprised we haven't done guns at all. Like, really covered.
That's our slogan right there.
What?
That's a whole nother
podcast.
podcast.
A whole nother podcast. We always do. I don't know. I mean, I think both sides are really biased. I think that saying that getting rid of guns, not decreasing gun crime is nonsense because you see, like in Japan and UK, there's not gun crimes because there's no guns. So that's just a bullshit thing that gun protectors want to say. It's just not true. Less guns means less gun crimes. However, I don't think my side, the liberal side, is any better because I think trying to not being able to find ways to control the crime without fully dismantling one of the one of our inherent rights written into the Constitution. I think that we have to be more creative than just taking all the guns away and shipping them to somewhere else. But it's just a little bit. It's all iffy.
I'm kind of just like I think civilians should be allowed to have handguns and should be allowed to have hunting rifles.
Right.
The handguns, though, and I know it's going to piss off a lot of people, I think that we shouldn't go over a certain amount of bullets in a clip.
Yeah.
And obviously not automatic at all.
Okay, so but that takes one part of the argument right there, because by saying you agree with handguns, you're agreeing that it's not just for hunting, because handguns are not used in any hunting sport. So
handguns are for
personal
and home defense.
defense.
Yeah, and some shotguns can be considered home defense too.
Yeah.
But I also understand that hunting is, hunting is a good thing for a lot of people. A lot of people do survive off of hunting.
Yeah, or at least, if nothing else, it's a popular American pastime that doesn't tend to lead to many deaths, other than a few accidents.
Accidental, yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't go after most of those, but it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Technically AR-15s do more damage than shotguns. It's all about reload time. Unless you have a unique shotgun, what's your personal defense shotgun hold? 5 or 7 rounds? Or 4 in that one.
No, it's I think it's 6.
6 rounds in that one.
Well, technically 7, because one will be ready to
go. Yours is side loaded, right?
No,
underloaded, but not a clip.
No clip.
So basically, when you're looking at that,
it's a 20 gauge Winchester.
Yeah, you have to think about that right there. Already, what you're saying is, assuming that it's the same shot with both, with a 20 gauge, which is a small spread compared to like a 12.
Yeah, it's
with a 20 gauge shotgun with 6 bullets in it. Do you know how long it takes for someone to reload, especially someone that's not trained in it? It's a long reload time, because you have to pull your shell, you have to get the shell into there, and then push it in.
Well, yeah, mine's got the tube.
Yeah, right. So
it's got the tube that the slider goes over. You push that in, and then you push the one up, and then
then you get 6 more shots. Yeah. What makes AR-15s dangerous is most of them
got a whole clip.
20 or 30 round clips,
right?
Which means if you're a good shot, that's 20 or 30 things, humans, whatever you're.
Well, I think a lot of people who want more than 9 bullets are basically saying they're not a good shot, so they want more bullets.
Yeah, and especially it's about range too. If somebody hits you with a 20 gauge shotgun from more than probably I don't know what it would take, but they're not super deadly. I mean, they're not super deadly unless
it depends on what kind of ammo you have.
That's true too. It does depend on the.
I mean, you can get hollow points.
It depends on if you're using slugs. It depends on if you're using bird, buckshot,
duck shot, goose shot.
Quit turning this into a gun podcast.
Yeah, this is the death penalty.
I'm gonna accidentally talk about guns the whole time.
Yeah.
But 12 gauges are more dangerous than 20 gauges. AR-15s are just more dangerous because the clip size. It has too many bullets, too much time. You can do too much damage before anyone can intervene. I think that's the main thing. The truth is I'm not scared of a guy with a knife. If somebody aims a gun at me, I'd be afraid. If somebody comes at me with a knife, it better be a big fucking knife, or I'm gonna fucking beat that guy to death. I just mean, you can learn.
You're gonna beat that guy with a knife?
Well, no, I'm just saying, if somebody comes in
with your AR-15,
realistically, if somebody's trained with,
you can shoot the gun, right?
Yes. If somebody has a gun, I think it's safe to say that unless you have a chance to surprise them, there's not much you can do to intervene with that.
Yeah.
If somebody comes at you with a knife, you could go to.
You can still get a punch or two in.
Well, you could go to 5
five guys, burgers and fries,
night classes on knife defense, and you could learn to disarm somebody with a knife safely, fairly safely. You're gonna get cut. I had a guy that taught Caitlin's dad, David.
Oh yeah.
He trained knife, he had trained in knife fighting, and he had a trainer.
One-sided knife fights.
Yeah, both one-sided and two-sided.
Oh, so he trained you to how to use a knife too?
Yeah, both. Oh. And the number one thing that they said was, you have to be prepared to get cut. You're not gonna get cut. You're gonna get sliced up.
I think it's a terrible idea to go into that fight thinking I'm not gonna get hit today.
You're going to get cut. The main thing is,
have you ever been cut by a knife?
Yeah, I have this huge scar.
Like a battle with a knife.
Have I ever been in a knife fight?
No, I'm not asking if you slightly cut yourself chopping up celery.
Slightly? Do you remember this thing? You used to see the pictures. I filleted my finger.
When?
It goes from here all the way around here.
What
and
happened?
I peeled the skin from my finger. I was being stupid. I was playing with a knife as
A butterfly knife?
No, it was like
You're just like
it was
fucking
like a
flailing
butcher
knives
knife.
around?
It was a butcher knife. And
Yeah.
I was practicing my stabbing. Oh.
You're what?
And I was dumb, and I hit something too hard, and my knife slid up. Or
Your
my
hand slid off the
up
handle?
off the handle and up the blade, and I sliced it down to almost the bone.
Oh,
and the
Jesus.
skin like peeled off. You can see it like from here to here, and it like peeled off. And they had to stuff the fat back into my finger, like fat was leaking out of my hand. Like
I think I kind of remember a
picture.
picture now of like
So,
fat coming out of your finger.
And it was terrible. See, technically I've been cut, but not in like
But
a
like after that, you're like, I need classes.
but yes, sorry. We'll go back. I would love to do guns next week and knife fights and everything. But my point being that I'll take somebody with a knife over a gun any day. The guy with the knife, unless he's fully trained, I'll fight that guy. The gun you don't have a chance with. But
I don't know, because the guy with the gun, he's stationary. He's got to get a fix on you.
not if he's even remotely trained. It's like,
But that's just assuming that he's trained.
Do you remember that episode of It's Always Sunny where he's got the sword and he's trying to, and he's doing this like he's like, no, I dodge more. He's like click, click, click. Anyway, so we're back on to the death penalty, which you get if you go on a shooting spree. So don't do that.
Guns can lead to death penalty.
We'll see you on later, Musty. But
well, wait. Before Musty goes,
yes.
I just want to make a quick announcement.
What's the quick announcement?
Musty has been like doing like this awesome job of just like shouting out the podcast.
He's a good
and
guy.
showing us some love, and so I tried showing him a little bit of love on Instagram, but I also want to show him love here. So if you haven't already, you need to go over to Zombiefoot Gaming and check out Musty.
He's on live at least Mondays, I know.
Yes,
Sometimes
we host the video here, but you should always go over there too to give him the views. But it's really entertaining to watch him. He even plays with his kids sometimes. He plays Fortnite. If you're somebody who loves Fortnite, really awesome stuff, guys. Go check that out. Go give him a follow. Thanks, Musty, for the love too.
Thank you, sir.
All right, back to the death penalty.
Oh my god, I hit the whole table. I'm trying to get comfy again.
What would your last meal be?
What would my last meal be?
Yeah,
That's tough.
I think we talked about this too in a Q&A, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. That's funny. That shit comes up. How could the death penalty come up so much in our lives?
Yeah, that's weird.
If I could pick anything for the last meal, I think it'd be a big ass Chipotle burrito right now. I've been really into Chipotle.
You have Chipotle all the time.
Well, yeah, but that's I eat
should-
it all the time because it's my favorite meal right now. It goes.
Yeah.
It changes. It wouldn't be my.
I
It
would
wouldn't always be my favorite, but I'm just saying it would probably be my current last meal. I think last time I said blueberry pancakes.
No, yeah, maybe you did. I feel like you said Chipotle too, though.
Did I say Chipotle last time?
I guess Nick would say
Nick
Chipotle.
would say Chipotle. I love Chipotle. It's why I'm fat. I drink too much soda. I eat too much Chipotle.
Yeah.
I just eat. My whole thing is get paid, eat Chipotle till I'm broke, and then starve till the next time I get paid. That's like
mine would be the fried chicken dinner from Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. What are you, 100?
What?
That's an old people place.
The food's good there though.
I didn't say the food wasn't good. I said
I don't go to see the old people. I go to.
Oh
go to
right.
eat the
Well,
food.
of course I would eat waffles. The blueberry pancakes are because I once watched some movie or TV show where a guy asked for blueberry pancakes on death row,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's a good one.
Have you seen like the list of like some of the people on death row, like the meals that they had?
Oh, I never really thought.
Apparently, like, so there's one guy where like apparently the meal doesn't end until you say you're full.
Yeah.
So like he kept making them go out and keep bringing like one thing at a time,
Oh my god.
and it like lasted for a ridiculous amount of time.
What a dick.
There was another guy who had
Sounds like
like
that guy had to come in.
had like 6 buckets of KFC chicken, and
That would also be close. I've been in a few chicken eating competitions myself, and I
Yeah.
could go for a bucket of KFC. It's just nice, shitty. I mean, it'll clog your arteries, but what's the matter if they're about to fry you? So
you like KFC or do you like Popeyes better?
overall better,
Yeah,
Popeyes, but I like
yeah,
KFC
Popeyes too.
I like Popeyes.
I'm Popeyes too. Okay, that's great. That's
But-
great to know.
With the death penalty, I think the major thing. No problem, Cal. We'll see you later. The major thing that really is unsettling with the death penalty is that the amount of innocent people. It really, for multiple reasons. Not only is it scary that they exonerate 1 in 50 people they put on death row, but that makes you really question beyond that how many people in jail are just innocent. Beyond that, it makes you wonder how aggressive the police arrest without knowing everything, how aggressive the district attorneys are when they prosecute without knowing. It's just the idea that an innocent person can be picked up, found enough fake evidence, taken to court, found guilty, put in jail for life, or put on death row. All of that without somebody being like, "Oh wait, the evidence doesn't line up," is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, that means that could be you, man. That could be me.
Yeah.
Somebody could bust in right now and arrest us and be like, just because, like, I was at Hy-Vee a couple days ago. They could have been like, "We found a dead body in the back of Hy-Vee. You were there. You're going to the death penalty." And you're just like, "What?" I was shopping for cherries, man. Like, fuck.
You're shopping for cherries.
Yeah, we went to Hy-Vee and accidentally got robbed by the cherry people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me Cal wanted cherries, so we went to Hy-Vee to get cherries.
Yeah.
And a couple days ago they were on sale for like $2.99 a pound, and so we grabbed 2 bags of them and went up there, and they were like $4 a pound at this point. And we had gotten like 5 pounds. They were like, "That'll be $20-something for cherries." We were like, "What?"
Jesus Christ.
Then we paid it, and she ate a lot of cherries that night.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. She likes cherries.
That's nice.
She's a cherry gal.
That's good.
But
I used to like cherries till that
like,
one night.
I don't like anything that's.
You remember that night?
Yeah, the maraschino cherries and the fucking. I don't even remember most that night. I mean, I remember that happened.
I only remember terribly throwing up in your front yard and then like passing out like with a trash can in my arms.
That was my whole like high school career and after high school career. But yeah, like that's a really scary thought that at any point people people like you or me could just be hauled off to jail for life for something they didn't do, and that no matter how many times you say I didn't do it, people just don't believe you.
They don't care.
And,
they've already labeled you a criminal.
That's
really
scary. Like if you think about
there's a guy on Netflix I recently started watching. Of course, I don't remember what it was called or what his name was, but he was convicted. He's from London. He was convicted for a crime, and he was put on death row, I think.
Yeah.
But then, like at the last second, before they killed him, they're like, "Wait a minute, we found the evidence. It wasn't him." And he was super salty about it. But then he spent it a little bit, so now he like goes around the world and spends like a week in the worst fucking prisons.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It's really a frightening concept though. Like, I'm not trying to get put on death row. I'm not trying to get like for something I didn't do, and I don't want to watch people die. 1 in 50. That is too high a number. I know we said that already, but
I think he did get a lot of money for it.
Yeah, he probably did.
And I think they took that money and turned it into a Netflix series.
Yeah, he probably got ridiculous amounts.
But he was still salty about it. Like he would go on like presses
of course
and stuff.
Of course he'd be salty.
Let's go then.
Ryan, careful what you wish for. If you're from America like us, you might get it. Your boy made bang, eh? But
yeah,
it's really frightening to me. 1 in 50 is a terrifying number. That's
Do you know what like the usual time they spend in prison before they get killed?
No, standard death row inmate?
Yeah.
It depends what state they're from. Some people are faster, some people are slower. A lot of people end up on death row forever and die on death row, but not from death row. A lot of people, like ours, think about our death row inmates. They've just been sitting here for the last 20-something years. Yeah, 30 years basically.
So even if you don't have the death penalty, you can still get on death row, and then is basically you're just here until you die.
Well, it is also confusing. They were on death row because we didn't get rid of the death penalty inherently. We did something like we just said nobody can currently be put to death. So they were lining people up, assuming it was.
So were we lining them up? Just basically like, oh, we can't wait till we get it reinstated, or do they line them up and like ship them to another state that does do it?
Yeah, no, they don't do that. You have to get extradited, and you can only be extradited if you commit a crime in another district.
Okay.
But the question is, I don't know if they were adding people to death row during that hiatus from the death penalty, or if they only were keeping the people that were on it before. But yeah, it's just the 1 in 50 rate of innocence on the 1 in 50 is on death row only, and we all know. I don't care who you are, or if you want to pretend it's not a racial thing, but we all know that most of prisons and most of the death row
no question
are inherently biased toward minorities.
Mostly black men.
Mostly black people.
In fact, that's what. Not to go off on a little tangent here, but that's like the majority of our over populated prisons are because we are like most of them are just like bullshit drug charges.
Right.
But
really bullshit because of our 3 strike rule.
The even more majority is that it's on black males.
Yeah.
And so the thing that bugs me the most though is that our prisons are basically being owned by companies.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
like
privately run for profit.
Bayer, I think Bayer, the aspirin company.
Oh yeah.
They own like quite a few prisons.
Yeah, they do.
Like
it's profitable for them.
That's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, we have a for-profit prison system.
But like these companies like do their hardest to keep minorities and black people in.
People like to pretend like. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Anything that's for profit, you have to remember they're not trying to help you ever.
No.
If it's a for-profit school, if it's which exists, if it's a for-profit prison, if it's a for-profit anything, that means that they're there to make money. So they profit off people being in jail regardless of their innocence, regardless of the crime. And our 3-strike rule is ridiculous. With the current 3-strike rulings in place in several states, you could get caught with an ounce of weed 3 times and go to jail for life in prison.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Complete and total
you
bullshit.
Get put in prison with people that rob, rape, and murder for selling a little couple teens of weed on the side. Like
somebody had a little fucking weed ash in their pipe. Like this is enough to make it circumstance or whatever the word is. But yeah, it's completely total bullshit. And there's a lot of people on death row too.
Yeah, there are.
For like trafficking and stuff, which I guess is a crime, but it's not death row worthy.
It depends on so part of the reason death row is so difficult is that we feel different about everybody feels different about different crimes, and everyone feels different based on the person that was hurt by the crime. Most of us, for example, like even anti-death penalty people, like if somebody hurt my family, hurt people I cared about, those motherfuckers would get hunted down, taken aside, be like, I have a certain set of skills. Like that's like what I mean. That motherfucker's coming down.
So you're gonna personally give him death?
Yeah, they don't need. You're
not gonna wait for the government
trial. That guy's getting his fingernails.
Those things take forever too.
They do.
Trials take fucking forever.
Trials take years.
I don't got that
Sentencing
patience.
Takes months. Arraignment takes weeks. Like sentencing takes months. Trials take years at times. There's appeals. Years and years of appeals, and only after all of that is done or waived can you actually move on to serving your sentence, and if it's a death sentence, and you're still putting a line behind other people. Realistically, most people don't even get put to death. It's just not efficient.
No, they just
sit on death row, which, by the way, costs more to
costs
keep them
way
on.
more money.
They're in special wings with special food with special areas. We're only an hour and 15 minutes in. Shit.
Wow.
Dude, we're making good time. I feel
yeah,
like.
We are.
But yeah, in general, I just think a lot of the stats, I'm upset because I feel like more people should be looking at for-profit prisons, making money off of keeping people inside of them, putting people to death when we know for a fact that 1 in 50 is innocent with our current stats. I mean, that's the fact that people just look at that and think, well, not my problem, and go on with their day.
Yeah.
The indifference of the human condition is a very frightening thing. We are adept as humans at looking at the suffering of others and thinking, wow, that sucks. Lucky it's not me. and like we just move on with it. We don't do anything about it. It's not all our fault. We're programmed to kind of do that, but
Yeah.
it's difficult because we should be doing something about it or something about something. Be doing something about something.
So let me ask, Casey Moore, do you feel like he deserved the death penalty?
The guy just died?
Yeah, the guy we just killed. He robbed two taxi drivers,
He robbed two taxi
killed them
drivers,
both.
killed them both. I think that if you, I hate to be eye for an eye, but I think that if you murder someone, it's pretty safe to land on death row if they can prove it. You know, if you're saying, do I think, knowing that, assuming he did it, which we luckily are pretty sure of that with his case, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think that murder, I would do murder, sex trafficking, and I don't think I would do murder and sex trafficking probably as my two of the main ones. Opener, what's up, baby?
What's that flute nozzle on the back of your head?
Oh shit, you sound just like sperm.
My hair was looking like shit, and I was working really hard on the set to get the green screen perfect. Wow, that takes away the effect. My arms are really long. Anyways.
I actually thought it looked pretty legit. Oh shit! The $2 donation from Ryan.
Thanks,
look
thanks,
at
Ryan.
that, baby. Thank
Our
you
first
so much,
donation.
man.
Thank you, man.
That is too kind.
But I was working hard on the set, and my hair was really wet and sweaty, and I was like, I couldn't get it to look good, so I just threw it up in this.
Sperm Slurper, you've got a better name.
Oh.
Well, thank you so
Sperm
much,
Slurper.
man. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
So what about child molesters?
Child molesting is really hard. So I think as long as they don't inherently murder or torture. I mean, it's kind of its own molestation. Obviously, is its own form of torture. But there's no inherent torture or killing. I think life in prison would be what I went for mostly.
Really?
Thank you for that follow, man.
Thanks for that follow.
That's just, it's really hard to decide because obviously I'd want to kill them, but if we're just saying, do I think it's right to kill them? I don't know if I would inherently. I mean, if you want to, technically they messed up somebody's life like on a huge scale.
Yeah.
That one's harder. It's harder because children are defenseless and they can't do anything about what happened to them. I don't like people taking advantage of anyone. But I think if I was really giving out death penalty for the most part, I would probably just do cases with murders, like capital cases being linked to murder or intense crime spree. Like, because I think it's also okay for like intense racketeering.
What
you're
about
like the head of the mafia? Like if you're the head of a mafia family and you're, because obviously then you've done plenty of terrible things to get to where you're at. But it's tricky. How would you pick how to apply it? Where would you pick?
I know I'm a little lost on it. I mean, I kind of agree with like majority of what you said. Like if you murder somebody, if you take a life, but then I'm also kind of like, what if it was like passion crime, or what if it was like, like you didn't have any other choice, like self-defense? But then again, usually they stay out of prison.
It gets tricky. I wish we could talk about stuff we've heard about from work without violating HIPAA, because you've seen some people come through at your job that have been probably put into prison for things that maybe they shouldn't have been in prison for, or for self-defense. Like, a lot of people, when you're dealing with a lot of people that are on the streets, that are homeless or that are transient, they get thrown in prisons for being in fights and stuff, when most of the time they're just scrapping to defend what they have to from being stolen or taken advantage of. So that can be really frustrating.
I think the only difference, though, is the child molesters.
Yeah.
I guess I would kind of throw them on there too.
Yeah.
But I'm also
that would be a hard one for me to pick.
I'm also just kind of like, it's too expensive to kill these guys.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
And it's like, that isn't it our taxpayer money, like paying to kill these guys?
It is, yeah.
So like
it's
naturally,
our taxpayer money, pretty much both ways.
Naturally, I'm kind of like, well, can we do something cheaper? Like,
yeah. Also, that's a little annoying. I don't know how. I'd have to look at the full ratio, but it's annoying that these rich for-profit prisons use tax dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, motherfucker, you're making bank.
Yeah.
You use your own money to fund.
Use your aspirin money.
But yeah, like, it's really hard because, like you said, it's so you're hitting the nail on the head, which is when you're asked what crime should be put to death, it really begs the question: what are the circumstances? And it is a case by case basis. Why give them the death penalty? Yes. So Ryan's raising a great question, which is true. Both for child molesters, definitely, but for everyone, I would rather die than be locked in a cage for the next 60 years.
Yeah, but another like argument is then is it even punishment then? Like if they would
penalty
killing them, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I'm saying is that isn't it the greater punishment to lock them up?
Yeah, I mean, like, what if, some of them like see death as like a way out?
Yeah, I would.
And a lot of people outside of like civilians like us who don't commit crimes and have great podcasts see that, that's just the way out. It's not, you're not facing your punishment.
I would rather be put to death than live the rest of my life in a cage. That just would not be my thing.
So that would be a great argument. To me, that's a great argument to not have the death penalty.
And Ryan's right as well. There is some social justice. Like, child molesters get beat up and murdered and raped in prison all the time. So we're really talking eye for an eye. They belong. Like,
I mean, some people might say, well, it's not justice for the families to the people they killed or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't always feel like it. It just depends.
It also, I mean, but when you kill them, though, it doesn't bring the person they murdered back. It doesn't take the pain really that much away.
Yeah, some prisons aren't as bad as others, so it depends on that too. Like,
I mean, like if you were gonna do that, I would suggest having one of the family members of the person they murdered do the killing.
Yeah, right. It's all tricky. It's really.
But then is that even moral?
I mean,
is that even? I mean,
it's not legal.
It's definitely not legal.
But yeah, overall, I tend to lean toward prison for the most part, both for the fact that at least then if you exonerate someone, they can get out, even if it's been 30, 40 years of their life they've lost. At least they can live the rest of their life, probably rich as shit, hopefully, as they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
I just mean, putting someone to death is very final. And if you want someone to pay for their crimes, if you want someone to have a chance to prove their innocence, a lot of that doesn't pair well with inherent death penalty. Which is all this to say that I am technically fine with the death penalty if it was correctly.
Yeah.
I don't care if they kill people. I don't think that the guy that murdered two taxi cab drivers for some fucking money deserves to be alive or live a life. I don't give a shit that they killed that guy. He means nothing to me. And he's fine. I'm fine with him being dead.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he did a bad thing, somebody's his family. Somebody is sad that he's gone. And we just got to remember that everything we do, whether we kill him, whether we don't kill him, whether we put him in prison, what prison he goes to, all of the things that we decide, it affects more than just that person. It affects their family, the victim's family.
Yeah.
And again, humans are just really good at turning a blind eye to that in all forms. So that's tricky. It's a really tricky subject because it's so random.
Just feels like a little. It feels a little to me like it's too much of a mess.
Yeah.
To have death penalty, it's too much of a mess, too pricey, and there's too much like we're acting like God kind of
and
phrases being thrown around.
No matter what you do, inherently, we're never going to use it with 100% neutrality. Not neutrality. What would be the right? I guess like
humanitarian,
non-biasness. We're never going to be able to convict everyone of their crime without any bias and decide this person belongs on death row without the bias, etc. Uh,
Most criminals are acting in the heat of the moment and are not thinking of the consequences in their actions. So what good does death penalty do if it doesn't deter people from committing crimes?
that's a huge
that is too, because like one could say, like, the argument there would be the death penalty is supposed to deter criminals. It's supposed to be like, hey, don't do that or we're going to fucking kill you legally. Yep. But how long has the death penalty been around and how many states, and we still have criminals?
They've specifically proven that it's not a deterrent. What they've found, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't checked a stat recently. I studied criminal justice in college as my minor.
Yeah.
So that would have been, let's see,
17 years ago.
Come on now. But it would have been 5 years ago, 6, 7, between 7 and 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like kind of that area. And back then when I was reading it, they specifically had found that no state that did what we did, like by putting the death penalty back into effect, crime will not drop at all. Like that's what they found.
Right.
It's not linked. It's not a deterrent, like Laureline said. And it not being a deterrent, is it worth spending the money, taking someone's life, like all that sort of stuff, if it doesn't even help with the crime deterrent?
Yeah.
That's its own thing.
I mean, I guess the only thing they would just say is that it's some form of justice.
Right. And some people would, if somebody hurt my family, like killed somebody from my family, I wouldn't give a shit. I would want that person dead, whether they, I wouldn't care. I want that person out of the living existence. So,
but you're saying like you would personally take care of it. You wouldn't let your government take care of it.
I don't want to go to jail and get put to death. I guess I'm deterred. But yeah, realistically,
we got one. We got one, boys.
We got one, boys. I don't think that. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I would want that person dead, but that's biased because I might tell someone else.
Yeah.
Try to let it go. It's not going to bring him back, but I don't give a shit. It's not going to bring him back.
Yeah.
I want that motherfucker dead. So.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's really tricky.
It's tricky.
Each instance is separate. Everything is standalone. There's not in one way. There's no way to say if this happens, then death penalty.
Here's a proposal, and it's probably a really terrible one.
Oh God!
But instead of death penalty, let's give the families of the victims, like once a month, they can go in, see the guy who killed their loved one or whatever, and you get like 30 minutes of torturing that guy.
Damn.
Huh?
You're deciding to go full on.
Yeah. Why not? Like go in. What are we doing?
Full on purge style a little bit there.
What are we doing this month? It's like I'm gonna take your fucking fingernails off. That's what I'm gonna do. What do you think about that?
Yes, that's
probably a terrible idea.
That's where my that's exactly where it comes into play, Laureline, as far as it being so each person's opinion differing, because if somebody were to hurt someone I loved and cared about, somebody were to hurt Cal, for those of you who don't know her real name, I guess, that person, in my eyes, has now forfeited their life. They are forfeit. It's done. They made their decision. But someone like Laureline, who hasn't inherently been cut that deeply, might not feel that way. Might still feel like, well, that person still has a family, still has a life. Ruining their life, ruining their family's life, won't make yours any better. But that's the problem, is it's such a biasness one way or the other. Whereas even someone that, not everyone that preaches forgiveness could forgive if it happened to them. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not saying you couldn't, Laureline, or that anyone listening couldn't be strong enough to do that. I promise you I would not be strong enough to forgive someone that hurt someone I cared about.
Yeah. It's always, I get what you're saying.
You guys are parents. I mean, think about something.
You can stand like this. You can have this opinion, but until it actually happens to you, and actually observe your feelings at that moment, you can't for sure say what you would actually want.
Right. If somebody hurt your guys' kid, you would lock them up in a dungeon and torture them for the next 20 years.
Oh.
You're like, no, 30 years.
30 years, maybe.
but I just mean that's if something happens.
I
to
mean, that
someone
would
you
mean I'd
care
have to
about-
feed them
Yeah, it's
to keep them
that's cheaper
alive.
than executing them.
That's true, though. That's true.
But seriously, like if something happened to someone that you care about, it changes. It's like anything. I'm trying to think of another good example. Like everyone's opinions are changed by what happens to them. We tend to look at a lot of people. I knew a lot of people that were not necessarily like that drove when they were young, and then
Yeah.
something happened and affected their lives. Whether it was someone they knew cared about, they got in trouble for it, etc.
Yeah.
That changed their opinion. Same idea. When something happens to you, it changes the way you feel, even if you don't know it's going.
Yeah. Like somebody tells you you're gonna get full time, and you don't, then your opinions change, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
That is a little rough, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think everyone has a right to their life. That's just how I feel. I know other people do feel like that. I don't think all lives are created equal, but that's not about race like the other people would consider it. I just think some people are shittier people, and I don't think those people have as much of a right to live as good people. But you have to remember, like I tend to preach all the time, good, evil, bad, neutral, it's all bias. Again, there is no actual good, there is no actual evil.
So, do you think I have a stinking suspicion that after maybe there's probably going to be another execution, he's probably going to go on with Jose. If they decided this was humane, which by the way,
they might have to rework
all they have to say is it killed him.
Yeah, they can make up whatever they want.
They don't have to. Yeah, they don't have to say, well, he didn't suffer. But
luckily, they have to be tried by public opinion to some degree. They can say it worked, but if there's enough outcry and backlash from the Twitter, from Facebook, from the community,
which I've heard, I don't know where, but I'm pretty sure they're trying their hardest to make an outcry.
They will,
because they're like, well, the curtain was drawn for 14 minutes.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened there?
Again, partly it's bias because those people making the outcry, they're not people like you and me that are middle of the road and are upset about this one thing. Yeah. They're anti-death penalty people that are trying to yell loudly because they have a reason.
Yeah.
So it's just tricky because neither side is noble. They're not inherently
right.
The anti-death penalty people are not necessarily more noble or more right than the death penalty people.
But I have a feeling just for the fact that he made this possible.
Yeah.
Evil Ricketts made it possible.
There you go. There's the definition of evil. Pete fucking Ricketts.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna get Jose. He's gonna execute Jose.
Yeah, he'll get
in November. And
he's a rich white red state American. He's gonna get what he wants.
Do you think he'll be reelected for the 50th fucking time?
I hope not, but
because I have a feeling if he doesn't get reelected, like if something were to like kink that direction, and he doesn't get reelected, I bet death penalty will be abolished from Nebraska.
It could be, and it probably should be realistically, but Ricketts.
Crickets.
Hopefully he doesn't get reelected. Yeah. But the truth is voted him a lot of times before. There's no reason to think he can't do the same thing again. He knows how to trick us. Obviously, he knows what we want to some degree. He knows how to abuse it, and he's got money and power.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. It is kind of
It's just kind of a toss up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think where are we at? We're at
probably
hour and 34 minutes. Do you want to take a caller?
Do we have anybody that wants to call in?
Well, if anybody out there in the
Musty's usually down to call in, but I think he took off.
Hey guys.
We might not have any.
How you doing? It's the mouse.
Fucking with me. What the fuck?
Is it fucking with you? Yeah, guys. Anyone out there in chat want to come in for a phone call in the interview room? Have a chat on the stream.
When we get more people in,
get your 5 minutes of fame. Yeah.
Like, as the podcast grows, I think it'll be easier to get kind of people in for the short discussions. But early on, it can be difficult to get that.
I think don't we have that Discord command?
Which one? Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if nobody wants to talk about it, it's okay. bullshit.
What was it? Was it hashtag Discord?
Yep, just like that. And if we don't have anybody to call in and we're
Boom.
done on the subject, then we can always wrap up early too. If we don't have like
You guys, there it is. There's the link to get into the Discord general chat. You guys want to do the call? Let us know here in the chat or in Discord. We'll get that going, and we'll take you on. We'll get your opinions or whatever it is that you want to talk about, or if you just want to troll for a little bit. Otherwise,
yeah. Otherwise, we kind of hit
Otherwise,
most of the subject.
pretty much.
So yeah,
I mean, my brother was in prison two, 3 years ago. Probably going on 3. Yeah.
My nephew gets
a lot of
prison
a lot of overcrowding there.
Yeah.
He actually knew. I think he knew. There's like a really old dude. And he was on death row. And he pointed me out to him. He's like this old, decrepit dude, had like a walker and everything.
Yeah.
They're like taking care of his ass like he was in a nursing home.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, to some degree, prisons are shitty for the most part, but
Yeah.
there's certain federal prisons are low, like work release prisons and stuff, where half the time you're just like, it's just as a free apartment, like it feels like. And I think that's part of the reason some people want death penalty is like some of those federal crimes guys, they do some pretty fucked up shit and they get put in with Wesley Snipes and they can play tennis.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, it's like the end of Wolf of Wall Street where he goes to a white collar prison. They're all playing tennis at the end.
That's what I mean. Like, that's
to be
bullshit.
The funny thing was when I was searching for the prison cell here for our screen, I found there was a dude. I can't remember. I think this was maybe Guatemala or something, but he had a 3-bedroom prison cell with like hardwood floors,
What the fuck?
glass
I
cabinets.
was actually just thinking this one. It was weird they had a phone. Like, I was like, oh shit.
That they had a
fancy.
phone. This must be like a holding cell, maybe.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
Like behind you is the sink and the toilet.
Yeah.
Got the beds over here. Kind of hard to see it there. Paraguay is where it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Like, what the fuck?
It was like a drug lord, and he had a 3-bedroom prison cell.
That happens all the time. I don't know how much of it's real, but when with the Pablo Escobar stuff, at one point I think Pablo Escobar built his own prison.
Did he?
Yeah, there's a joke about it in Narcos, which is the story of Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
And I looked it up one time, and I thought that I read that it was a real thing. That before he turned himself in, he like part of the rules were that he was gonna build like where he was gonna live because he was rich.
Yeah.
And I think I'd have to look it up to make sure, so don't quote me on it. But I think that motherfucker built his own prison where he was like going to live.
No wonder he escaped.
Did
he escaped that prison, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course.
He escaped every prison they ever put him in because he was like he blew up that plane to kill like that one guy one time, like one witness. He blew up an entire plane full of, that guy was a psychopath. Pablo Escobar was a legitimate, like probably the most hardcore, and he looked so funny. He was just a chubby guy with a mustache. It was so like the idea that guy was the mastermind madman of the cartel is just so funny to me.
It's funny to look back at like even Capone.
Yeah.
When he was in, what was it called? Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Like his cell, like he had his own like radio. He had like a TV in there, a nice like cabinet for his books.
You're a superstar, man. Like Americans find it a pastime. Murder and intrigue is like as Americans apple pie and baseball.
But the funny part is that he died from syphilis, wasn't it?
Had it coming.
Yeah.
Literally.
Had it coming. Zing.
Yeah. Like Beavis and Butthead.
Do it. We got to work on our fucking voice acting company.
Yeah, that was a clip right there. I'm gonna upload it.
Right there. There's pretty good clips that people missed on the Q&A. Julie got one.
Oh god.
It was the one where you're like, Bazinga!
I assumed it was Bazinga. God damn it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So it looks like nobody is gonna do the call.
We can end it early if we're done with the topic and we if we don't have any Q&A or any call-ins, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean we can.
That's the problem.
We got like 20 more minutes. We can bullshit for a little bit.
Part of the problem with the podcasting live is that a lot of people watch the podcast after the fact, and they might be like, "Oh, next time I'll call in." And can't make it, or like Musty would call in if he wasn't busy. So like sometimes it's just about schedule.
Yeah, I know. I think Blue Robot was a little disappointed that we ended at 2 hours too.
It happens though.
But, I mean, the thing is,
to go a little over with if it's like a full on episode like that.
Yeah,
but you don't want to go overkill because then people that listen to it later are like, "Good Lord, this is." Well,
but we also moved it to 3 p.m. and I work overnight tonight, so I had to get to bed, and so sorry, Blue Robot. But I mean, 2 hours is usually like a good time
because like good because that means he was having a good time on the show. Keep doing it.
WTF is usually like an hour and a half to 2 hours,
and we'll just have him on for another episode. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
I have no problem with repeat guests. Like.
Repeat guests.
And Blue, they're interesting and they're fine to have on.
Yeah, we can get Tay on here.
Yep.
Maybe get Laureline.
Yeah, I like having on guests, and it can be confusing because like when it's just us, we can kind of just bullshit. It's funny, but as soon as you introduce a third person, like one person almost has to take on the role of mediation. I tried to do that last week.
Well, it's usually you.
Like try to propose questions. And then
because you knew more about the subject than I did, so I figured I'd let you take over and I'll just say my opinions.
Because you don't want it to be dominated by one person out of the three or two out of the three, you have to kind of have someone there to be like, here's the thing, Ford, okay, perfect. Blue, how do you feel? Like you're kind of like almost going a circle, where you all kind of talk about it and answer. So that's like a challenge once you move into more than two people. Mm-hmm. Whereas like when we're doing this. We could just kind of bullshit, and then when I run out of things to say, like right now, I just look at you like, all right, you better say something. Now I don't have something to say.
Yeah, which happens quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's the streaming going?
It's good. I didn't get to stream much last week because I was helping Cal move her brother into the dorms. He's moving in. I was so mad. Not mad, but like, he moved into these suites. These sweet suites.
Oh, really?
And you never got to come see my dorm in Wayne because I was only up there for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen dorm rooms before though.
Right, they're tiny.
They're like broom closets.
It was like maybe the size of this room.
Oh yeah.
For two people to
with
live
a bunk bed,
with beds and everything. So part of the problem, we were laughing because he moved into a suite, so it had two. It was a whole suite, so it's 2 bedrooms, each of which has 2 people. So 4 people live in a suite, 2 bedrooms with 2 people, but it was almost double the size of this, like almost 2 of these together.
Oh yeah.
So they had nice room. They had room for their like desk, their like computer. They lofted their bed. They put it under there. Still had some room at the end. Yeah. Then you could walk out, and there was a whole main room to the right with like a TV and couch. Down the left was like their own private shower, bathroom, and double sink.
What?
For 4 guys. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
What the?
I had to.
Where the fuck did he go to school?
Showering. It's UNL. He's just at UNL.
He's at UNL?
But he lives in the Suites building, and it's like learning communities. So they group, like, he's studying computer engineering.
Is this Mad Cow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he lives in a dorm with 4 other new students studying the same thing as him, so that it kind of lets you not
because you have like your little studying group right there.
Yeah, and you don't feel so isolated because one of the problems was like when I met my roommates in college, you don't get grouped necessarily by topic. So I'm a nerd and they're like a bro, so it'd be somebody being like, "Yo, let's go to country night. Let's go get a few drinks. Oh, let's go hang out at the library."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually have a raid in 30 minutes. Like, so like we just didn't get along. Not didn't get along, but we didn't have the same.
It just didn't click.
Whereas with this, if you've got 4 computer engineers, those guys are all going to be gamers. I mean, there's just, you don't go into computer engineering without having an interest in gaming usually, to some degree. So, but no, I was super jealous in a good way. Like I'm proud of him. But I was like, son of a bitch,
motherfucker.
When I was moving him in. Thursday, I did some family thing. I'm still trying to always mend some wounds with my family. So I did that, and then
I saw there was like a new picture with you and your mom or something.
Maybe I don't know, but
maybe
I've also been off my game streaming a little bit. I've really entered a gamer fatigue.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure you feel like this too sometimes.
a little
Although
bit.
you don't have as much time to game as you used to.
No, yeah.
But like,
Well, I'm definitely feeling it with Detroit right now.
yeah, I just don't like. Normally, there's a few games that are especially good at games like EQ and stuff like that that always speak to me. But most of the time, from the moment I go to sleep to the moment I wake up, I'm like, oh man, I want to get on and do this on a game. I want to go do this. I want to make this happen. I want to gain this, farm that. But lately, every time I go to stream, I'm just like, dude, I don't know what to play. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how I'm gonna fill 7 hours. Like, I don't have a game that's saying, hey, play me. I want to play this.
Yeah.
Then it's that plus trying to balance, because I can't just play any game. You have to play a game that will get some form of an audience.
Yeah.
So you're trying to already like be at this point where you don't know what to play and you're kind of stuck in limbo, and then take that magnified by the pressure of trying to play something that attracts people.
Yeah.
And it's really, you just get overwhelmed. Like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. So
Yeah. Have you played the last season of The Walking Dead?
not yet. I
Telltale?
won't do that on stream though. That is a personal experience. I would replay it.
That's a personal.
That's something that's personal to me. Because I will sob uncontrollably.
Oh yeah.
When spoiler alert, shut off your headphones if you have not played season 1 of The Walking Dead, starting right now. You played season.
Oh yeah.
When Lee dies, I sobbed for about 3 weeks, and then bought a T-shirt about it, and sobbed every time.
You
I
bought
wore
a
it.
T-shirt.
Yeah, I had a T-shirt that I probably wore it in front of you at least once. It was Clementine's hat, and it had the quote from Lee saying, "We're smarter than all of them," and it was just such a depressing shirt to wear. It had Clem's bloodstained hat and a quote from Lee to her about why they were going to survive, which of course he didn't.
Yeah, he died.
And I sobbed like a baby uncontrollably for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. It was beautiful.
Do you still watch The Walking Dead?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the new season, which is premiering in it'll soon, fall.
Yeah, it's getting around that time.
You should catch up. It's pretty interesting.
I think I'm like 2 or 3 seasons behind.
Yeah, it's what was the last thing you watched?
The last one I watched.
Arriving?
No, the last one I watched was when Carl infiltrated Negan's.
Oh, then you're only probably 1 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 seasons of Negan.
I loved Negan, but for some reason I just couldn't stay in it.
Yeah, well, a lot of people complained that the show was too repetitive, and I can see where they're coming from. But I think that just means that it's probably not the right subject matter for him, because I don't think the show is repetitive, and there's lots of shows I feel like that about. Supernatural always got teased for it too, and for jumping the shark, which they do quite often. But I like watching. If you're watching it for just the story arcs, if you're watching it for just like the overreaching story and the apocalypse, then that show Walking Dead would be boring.
Yeah.
But if you watch it for reasons I do, which is looking at questioning human morality, what people are willing to do to keep living, how far people are willing to go at what points in their lives to survive and for people they love, I find it really interesting where it's at currently.
Yeah.
Because like Negan is such a great bad guy, or well, he's not. That's what I mean. Is Negan is a great character because he runs one of the tightest, most efficient ships in the show. The governor was a great runner of the show, or of his town, but Negan runs. He's like the northeastern coast manager. He runs like a whole like couple 100 square miles.
Yeah.
With where everyone essentially gets fed, has a job, does things correctly. Now he does go a little overboard with the sort of slavery aspect of it to some degree, but he leaves them food. Like he doesn't starve them out. He leaves them food. He doesn't hurt them as long as they hold up their end of the bargain. So I don't think Negan does everything right, but it's interesting because we spend the whole time with our team trying to bring him down essentially, and Negan really is one of the things holding the area together, and it's an interesting concept, I think. You should get back.
I'll have to
into
get
watching
back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Another one I
interesting.
gotta start watching Game of Thrones. I haven't started that at all.
You haven't watched any Game of Thrones? We should just do a view party. I love Game of
Yeah.
Thrones. I've watched Game of Thrones like 3 or 4 times, and I would watch it.
You watched the whole thing 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
One of my friends told me they just started Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you not?
Yeah.
How could you not do that?
Game of Thrones is a weird one to watch with anybody else because there's so much boobies and sex in it.
Oh yeah, you're like, hold on, I gotta rub one out.
Yeah, like it's not even that. It's just like you're just sitting in a room full of people and you're like, wow, there's a lot of aggressive doggy style sex happening right now.
Is it that feeling where you're like watching TV with your parents and all of a sudden a sex scene comes on, you get really uncomfortable?
Like, and if everyone's comfortable with sexuality, it's not all that bad. But yeah, a lot of times like you're just sitting here for like 5 minutes while someone's like banging somebody from behind aggressively, and you're like, like. So yeah, like but other than that, it's a great show and it's fun to watch in groups. Besides that.
Well, guys, I think we're kind of at the point now where, got 10 minutes left. So the stream Fridays, we're gonna go back to Dungeons and Dragons.
And most
Probably
Fridays will be D&D. And this week, Tay doesn't have overtime, so we should be good on our normal time. So probably around 8 o'clock. 7 p.m. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'll
Central
make sure
time.
to double check with you guys.
So usually when we're doing that, everyone just goes to yours. Well, the problem is
Khadgar sometimes.
Well, the problem is that mine, like my tower, is a piece of shit and it's like puttering along, and sometimes it's hard to hear you guys when it comes through the Discord. It's kind of like breaks up or whatever. But so yeah, they usually just stick to yours because yours is going smoother. But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons Friday nights 8 p.m. Central Time, and the podcast is on Sundays 3 p.m.
Always.
I guess we're gonna be talking about guns next time.
Maybe.
Well, depend. See how we feel. Might do a little chatting in Nixon's chat on his game streams.
I just gotta find something to play, man. I need something to fill my time.
Just do some like GTA or something. Or
have
you played 7 Days lately?
Not lately. That's on my list.
But that's like the least favorite one, isn't it? Nobody likes watching that one.
Oh God, I'm always afraid to click a link from like
Herald Tree.
Yeah, like that's just gonna be something terrible.
Should we do it together?
I don't think you should click it. All right, click it.
All right, I'm gonna click it.
This is an ad for a project management tool called
It's
Monday.
an ad.
This is what it looks like.
It says
and
stop.
This is what it
Oh
feels
God,
like.
is it gonna do something terrible in our ears? Oh, it's a song.
Oh, nice.
Okay, good. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I guess we can have that in the background while we're.
It's gonna echo super bad.
Is it gonna echo?
Yeah, because it's coming through your speakers and the actual audio.
Oh shit! Hold on. Wham. It's not echoing that bad.
All right.
But anyways, streams. Podcast is on Sunday, 3 p.m. Come check us out. Come follow us. Thanks, Sperm Slurper, for the observance of my hair and beard and the $2 donation and both follows. That was pretty awesome, dude. Tell your friends to follow us. We are now at we're at 8 more, 7 more till we get affiliated. Cool shit. We just need 8 more follows, guys. Go tell your friends. Otherwise, if you want to watch this after the live stream, you can go to YouTube or here on Twitch, but you can go to YouTube and watch it. And we do take the audio from these streams and put them on SoundCloud, which puts it onto our iTunes. So if you have an Android or an iPhone, you can listen regardless. So while you're vacuuming your CEO's office, you can listen to our beautiful voices. It's probably going to be a little echoey, but it's still beautiful. Anyways, my phone's blowing up, which means it's time for me to go. Everyone out there, have a beautiful day. Bye.